This is Viterbi Voices.
Coming to you from the University of Southern California, Viterbi School of Engineering.
We're here to give you the inside scoop on research, classes, student life, and so much more.
All of these shared by students, faculty, alumni, and other members of the USC community.
Alrighty, hi everyone that's joining. We'll get started in just a few minutes here. Perfect. Well, for those of you who are here, hello and welcome. Just so you know, you're currently entering the USC Viterbi Meet the Majors live chat. We're going to be starting the session soon. So just stick around with us for a few more minutes as others continue to join the webinar. And in the meantime, we'll just be here chatting for a minute as we wait for the remaining people to join. So everyone here, I know it's super hot, very hot outside. So for those of you who are in LA, it's been about 100 degrees here every day. We've been going through a heat wave. And so I would like to know if you could shapeshift into any animal, not necessarily just to get out of the heat, but if you could shapeshift into any animal, what would it be? Anybody?
Oh, worm.
A worm?
Sorry.
We're around in the dirt.
Yeah, no, honestly, that just seems like if I'm a worm, like life's so much simpler. Like I don't have to do all these assignments and stuff. But
getting eaten though, like
you know, if it happens, it happens.
Well, and see too, if you get like just part of you eaten, you can still go on. You're a worm.
I don't know if I like it. I'd rather be fully eaten than partially eaten. But
I feel like any water creature is like enjoying life right now.
Yeah.
So any of them.
Yeah, I feel like birds also, like just being up in a tree in the shade, can fly around and cool off.
I feel like in general, being a bird, you get like the best of both worlds, you know? Like you can fly, but you can also choose to land.
It's true. Or you could be a duck. You could have land, air, and water.
Oh, that's true.
Well, feed you bread. That's good.
I feel like my favorite aquatic animal is like the axolotls. They're like the little like lizards with like the
so cool.
They're so cute. They're pink.
So cute.
They hang out in the water. They have the derpiest faces. They look like Ditto from Pokemon. I would do that.
I think it's nice to be a bird, but I'd go with like an eagle, so I'm a protected species. You don't have to worry about anything. People are always watching out for you.
Yeah, smart one.
So funny. My house, actually, we had this bald eagle nest, like right down, like I live right on the water it's a beach in Wisconsin, long story short, but there would always be bald eagles just like chilling in my front yard. And I had no idea that they were rare until like coming to college, people were like, what?
That's crazy. I get so excited every time I see one, which is not frequent because like, I feel like you just don't see them here.
Bald eagles are so funny.
Yeah.
At home, there's like a bunch of crow nests kind of by my bedroom. And so the eagles eat the crow eggs. So the eagle would just dive into like a swarm of crows and it would be very entertaining to watch.
I would feel so bad for the crows.
Yeah, it was quite tragic. I feel like the eagle mostly won.
R.I.P. crow eggs, for real.
Rip. But have you ever seen there are so many crows. There are. And we do need more eagles. They are endangered. Have you seen them from like the front?
Eagles?
oh yeah, not the side profile. Yeah, they're like
The side profile, they look so majestic, but from the front, they look so derpy.
Yeah.
It's like Phineas from Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah.
Phineas.
Yeah. Alrighty, it is 7:06, so I think we're gonna get started. I think we've got most of the people who were planning to attend have been trickling in here. So let's get this chat started. Let's get it on the road. First things first, we want to welcome each of you once again to the USC Viterbi Meet the Majors live chat, brought to you by all of us, real-life engineering students who were in your shoes not too long ago. Before we move on, I do want to thank all the panelists here for taking time out of their Sunday night before Labor Day, so we do have tomorrow off, and they're all still here joining us to talk to you. All right, now shown here on the next slide is our agenda for the next hour. We're going to be kicking it off by introducing our panelists for the evening, all of whom are current engineering students here at USC. Then we're going to be answering some questions that you all submit on the webinar Q&A feature, though I will ask that you all hold off on submitting your questions for just a couple minutes until we get to that Q&A portion so we can get through our introductions. And it's probably obvious given the title, but today we'll be discussing all of the different majors here at USC Viterbi. Any questions that you guys have about the student experience at USC, in engineering, or in college in general is totally fair game though. And if you're viewing this live chat recording at a later date, don't worry. You can still email us questions at vstudent@usc.edu, and that will be put in the chat in a little bit. We may not get to all of the questions you all ask during the session. I do apologize. But if you do email us, one of us will follow up with a response. And again, just for now, hold off on submitting those questions through the Q&A for just a couple minutes here. And then quickly, as a reminder, we are just students. We're all here to share the student perspective of Viterbi. And we can't really answer the majority of admission-related questions. You can direct those to our admission staff at viterbi.admission@usc.edu. And last but not least, at the end of the session, we were going to be spending a few minutes going over how to get in touch with the Viterbi admission office, how to stay in touch with us, and then share some resources that may be useful as you navigate through the application process. And now, without further ado, let's introduce ourselves. I'm going to start us off first. Hello, everyone. I'm Shannon. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm your host for tonight. I am a current senior, double majoring in computer science and quantitative biology. I am originally from San Diego, California, so not too far off from LA. And my involvements on campus include the Center for Artificial Intelligence in Societies undergraduate branch, Corpus Callosum, which is an arts and tech lab, the Viterbi Innovation Institute, out of which I have spun my own startup. And then I do research within the Ecological Data Science Lab here at USC, and then a couple of different bioinformatics labs.
Hey everyone, I'm Nick. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a junior studying astronautical engineering, and I'm from Bakersfield, California. On campus, I'm involved in the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, where I'm the VP of membership. In Trojan Knights, I'm the activities director. We cover spirit service within USC. I also do research in the Advanced Spacecraft Propulsion and Energy Lab, where I research thermonuclear propulsion and continuously rotational detonation engines.
Right. Hello, guys. My name is Maya. So this next year I'll be a junior, and my degree is a mouthful, but I'm studying industrial and systems engineering with an emphasis on information systems. And I have a minor in international health development and social justice. I'm originally from Hudson, Wisconsin. And on campus, I was involved in Engineers Without Borders in the past. I also served on the Society of Women Engineers Leadership Board. I did a research project with the School of Social Work and the School of Engineering. And I work as a host of the Viterbi Conversations in Ethics podcast, where I host different students and we talk about ethics and engineering.
Hi, everybody. My name is Leslie. I go by she, her pronouns. I'm a sophomore majoring in computer engineering and computer science, and I'm originally from North Bergen, New Jersey, so I'm all the way from the East Coast. I'm the VP of Fellowship for the Center for Artificial Intelligence and Society student branch. I'm also a member of the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. I'm part of Women in Engineering, and I came to USC as a Questbridge Scholar, so I'm part of the Questbridge Scholars Network. I am the director of events for Viterbi Well, formerly known as Viterbi Wellness Warriors, which is our Viterbi Wellness organization on campus. And I'm also a part of 2 research projects.
Hi, everyone. I'm Neha. I use she, her pronouns. I'm currently a senior majoring in biomedical engineering, and I'm also concurrently doing my master's in medical device and diagnostic engineering through the progressive degree program. I'm from Benicia, which is near San Francisco, so I came from NorCal to SoCal. Some of the things I'm involved in on campus are Engineers Without Borders, which I've been in all 3 years of college. I'm a freshman academy coach. This is my first semester. I am not currently involved in research, but I've worked in 3 different BME labs in my time here, and I'm also part of the Associated Students of Biomedical Engineering.
Hi, my name is Tim. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a senior studying electrical and computer engineering. on a computer engineering track. And I'm also getting my master's in electrical engineering through the PDP program here at USC. I'm originally from Oklahoma City, and I've been involved mainly in the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers at USC. I'm currently the president, but I've been an ambassador as well as the director of outreach since my freshman year. And I was also a member of the CURVE research program, the Center for Undergraduate Research in Viterbi. And I studied bidirectional circuits. Yeah.
Alrighty, and finally, these are our moderators. They're the ones who are going to be behind the scenes responding to some of the Q&A questions that we don't have time to get answered live by all of our panelists. Let's meet them.
Hello, everyone. I'm Victoria. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a junior studying mechanical engineering.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sydney. I'm a junior studying chemical engineering, and I go by she, her pronouns.
And hello, everyone. I am Jordan. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a junior studying computer science.
Lovely. And now it's time for you all to submit your questions. If you're on the webinar, we encourage you to submit questions now through the Q&A feature down below, this little chat button. And if you're viewing the recording, again, you can email us later with your questions to vstudent@usc.edu. And we want you all to know that a few years ago, we were all in the exact same position you're in now, applying to colleges, trying to decide where would be the best fit for us. And that's why we're here to answer your questions and speak about our honest experiences. All right, now, just to get started, as some questions are trickling in, if everyone kind of wants to go through and repeat your major, and then why you chose it. What made you decide on the major that you're in right now?
Wait, Shannon, okay, to break that question down. So you asked why USC and then why our major?
What your major is and then why you chose it.
What your major is and why you chose it. Okay, I can jump in and start. So my major is Industrial and Systems Engineering, which if you guys are unfamiliar with that, I'll give a high level description, but feel free to throw a question in the chat if you don't. But so Industrial and Systems Engineering at its core works to make things better. So making systems more efficient. So coming into college, I knew that I liked engineering, I liked math, I liked science. I didn't necessarily like biology, didn't necessarily want to do things that had to do with physics. And industrial engineering provides a lot of math background, but provides that in a business sort of context, which I really liked. So sort of combines those two things. I take a lot of stats classes, take a lot of math classes, and I really love it.
Yeah, I can jump in there too. So I'm majoring in computer engineering, computer science. So at USC, that is kind of a combined major. It counts as a single major and not a double major. But the reason I chose it was because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do, when applying to USC, I wasn't sure if I wanted to only do computer science or if I wanted to do more electrical engineering. So I decided to pick something that was in the middle. So in CECS, I'm able to take a lot of computer science classes and also a few electrical engineering classes. So I feel like I'm getting best of both worlds. And honestly, I feel like it's great because it's really helpful for coding if you know how a computer works physically. So yeah, that's been my experience so far in CECS and why I chose it.
I can go next. So I'm a biomedical engineering major. I think biomedical engineering, I'm a straight biomedical engineering major, but BME has like different emphases you can go into if you're more inclined towards like electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, or molecular and cellular. I think the fundamental, I guess, aspect of the BME major is if you're interested usually in like medical devices or doing things for medical applications. So the reason I went into it, I honestly didn't know it existed until like I was applying to colleges. And I think I really liked math and science in high school. And I never thought I'd go into engineering, but BME just seemed like a way that I could use engineering to help people, which I cared a lot about. And I do feel like I've gotten that, and working with patients, like even indirectly, I think I didn't know that was what I wanted to do, but now that I'm in the major, I think that it's a good fit for me.
I think I can sort of just add, I I chose electrical engineering. I was actually a mechanical engineer when I applied to USC, and it wasn't until my orientation that I changed to electrical engineering. And I'm really glad I did, because I really wanted to work in industries that, involved specifically, I guess I could have also done computer engineering, but I wanted to work on more a hardware level in a more general sense. And even as someone who just really liked math and physics in high school, USC has allowed me to, learn how to code. I now code multiple languages, and yeah.
Yeah, so I'm an astronautical engineering major, but I actually applied in as an aerospace engineering major, and it was actually just a couple weeks before the semester when they sent us an email just double checking if we wanted to choose our major, and I chose a different one. I decided to switch from aerospace to astro because I still wanted the similar like attributes of like thermodynamics, fluid dynamics, and like math and physics regarding like flying objects, but I wanted it centered more towards space. And so that's kind of where we have a lot of overlap, where I have a lot of classes with my roommate who's an aerospace engineering major. And it's not till later on when we start having like focused classes where I take systems engineering for spacecraft and he takes systems engineering for an airline. And so those are kind of like the differences. I really wanted space just because I think it's the next frontier. And we get a lot of good information on how to get jobs and careers within the aerospace industry, specifically catered towards like space flight.
Lovely. And then I guess I'll give you all a little intro to mine too. So I'm the little special, I am a double major. I initially started out as biomedical engineering, but I just realized their tracks and what they focus on in their curriculum wasn't quite what I wanted to do. And I had a background in computer science. So I switched over to computer science and was continuing on with that. And I realized I kind of missed biology. So I was initially going to tack on a minor, but I figured out it was actually less classes, oddly enough, for me to double major in quantitative biology. So that's what I've stuck with for now. And kind of building off of that question, I'm not sure if anyone else here has ever changed majors before, at least after getting started studying. Does anyone? No?
I can speak to, I have a twin brother at USC, and he switched from environmental engineering to industrial and systems engineering after that first semester. So we took the intro to environmental class. He wasn't super into it. And it was a 5-minute conversation with his advisor. So he just reached out to his academic advisor, and it was early enough in that college career where they just said, okay, and they switched him over.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience too, where the first semester of school, I was in BME 101. I was like, yay, I'm not really feeling it. And can I switch into any other major? And it was just a very simple, they just typed it out, clicked a couple buttons, and we're like, all right, your major's changed. So it's very easy to switch majors within Viterbi. And a lot of times classes that can count for one, especially in those first semesters, can end up counting for something else in a different major. Perfect. Great. Well, I know that a lot of us here have been involved with research. So I'm curious to hear about all of your guys' experiences finding research, how easy it was, and then your experience being in research and balancing that with your coursework.
I guess I can sort of talk about my experiences. I specifically did the Curve program that I mentioned earlier. And the Curve program is a really incredible thing that USC offers, where if you say you don't know which professors to reach out to, you might have a few people in mind, but for the most part, you're not quite sure what they're even offering. They sort of compile a list of the professors, their exact research program, and you fill out this sort of question sheet regarding what your interests and what your skills are, and if you're suited for whoever's research you're most interested in. And I think I applied to that this summer between my sophomore and junior year, and they got back to me in August, and I did research for the whole year, and you even get a stipend depending on which program you do. I think they give you $1,250 per semester. So that can be a nice way to, get things going as well. But yeah, it's definitely not a hard process at all.
I can speak to I wasn't in a program for research, so I will say it was maybe a little harder to find labs just because it's very much you have to look on your own. I think I joined a lab my freshman year, and it was just basically I knew I wanted to do research in BME, so I went through all the professors in the BME department and looked at what they were researching and made a list of people, and then I just cold emailed them. For me, I think I realized that like a lot of people do research and love it, but there's also value in doing it and not loving it, because then you realize what is and is not for you. So I ended up switching labs after my freshman year to a different one. I liked what I was doing, but I thought I'd like a different lab a little more. So I switched again. And then by the end of that experience, I realized that maybe I'm more oriented towards not doing research. But I also know people who've loved their experience with research. So I think the way I approached it was like emailing professors, and sometimes they get back to you, sometimes they don't. It all depends on like availability and what they're looking for. But it wasn't very hard to get like a research position in a lab and see how, like, try it out.
I can jump in there. When I first came to USC, I had very, very little coding experience. So I would say that it was very difficult to get a research position in the first place if you don't really have much to contribute in the first place, which is a little bit of a weird way to put it, but it was the truth for me. So I did apply to Curve coming into my freshman year. I did not get it. I got Curve my sophomore year. I'm a sophomore now. And I also reached out to a few research labs my freshman year. And keep in mind, this timeline is like right before coming on campus in fall semester. But essentially, because I didn't have much coding experience, I decided it would be best for me to really build upon my skills first my freshman year, and then really pursue research in my sophomore year once I already had a good skill set built. I was really able to get into my first research project on my spring semester of my freshman year. And that was through the Center for AI and Society, this undergrad branch. So long story short, we have a curriculum program the fall semester that taught me a lot about AI research, just AI in general. And that was what I knew was my main interest. So I really took advantage of that. I took advantage of the classes I was taking my fall semester to make sure I really improved my skill set. So by the time I was in my spring semester, my freshman year, I went from having absolutely no skills to a good amount of skills to be able to join a research project through CASE, which is the acronym for that organization. And yeah, from the research from that spring semester, I was able to continue building my skill set, and I was able to get the Curve research position now as a sophomore, and I'm part of the interaction lab, which is a really cool one on campus. So I'm pretty proud of that. And that's not your usual like research path, but it is for many students, especially coming in with absolutely no coding experience. So I did want to speak on that a little bit.
Great, thank you. And I'd also like to note to those of you listening, a lot of the research labs here aren't specific to one kind of engineering. So when I first started, I was working in an electrical engineering lab as a biomedical engineering major. And then I switched over to a lab after I switched into computer science. I was in a biomedical engineering lab, so little switcheroo there. And then after that, I've been in a bunch of different labs with the computer science department and the bio department, and even with some of the other departments at USC. So not even just within the engineering school. And a lot of majors are like that. Labs are looking for people who have the skill sets of mechanical engineers, and some of them are looking for the skill sets of computer engineers, and some are looking for biomedical engineers, and some are looking for all three. And so there's some very intersectional labs of research here at USC, which is cool. And then pivoting a little bit now from research and academia, if you guys would like to talk about your experiences with finding internships at USC and how USC has kind of supported you and provided you with resources for that. A lot of people are wondering about it.
Yeah, I can start and jump in with this one. This past summer, I interned at a medical device company, Medtronic, and I originally was introduced to that company through an event for women in engineering at USC. So this event, some professionals came in, the recruiter for USC came in, had a conversation with him, and then I went and applied online. There's this USC Career Center webpage, so you can pretty much just press a button that says like send your resume along. There'd be specific postings that the companies have just for USC students. So I did that, and I guess in hindsight, I'm hearing from the recruiter that they went and pulled my resume after talking with me, and then that just set the chain in motion. And it's a medical device company, so typically biomedical engineering majors will work there, but healthcare is something that I'm really interested in, so I had an operations role at that company. So.
I guess I can go next. I also interned at a medical device company, like the typical biomedical engineer last summer. It was Edwards Life Sciences. And yeah, I think the whole process for that for me was through USC. I also went on like the Career Connections and Connect SC website and applied through like the USC site. And I met them first at the career fair. So like all of my interactions prior to getting the role were like through USC events. So yeah, I think I talked to them at the career fair and then applied through the USC site. And then I also went to a recruiting event put on by the Associated Students of Biomedical Engineering. So I talked to a lot of the USC recruiters, and that was how I ended up realizing that like, I was interested in learning more about the medical device industry because I thought it could be like what I would consider doing after college, and B, like that's how they knew to look more closely at my resume as a student from USC.
Yeah, so I can add on, not specifically about my experiences, but the experience I've helped get up for others. I haven't gotten an internship over the summer. Instead, I've been taking summer courses, maybe like physics or calculus. But as the VP of membership for SHIP, the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, it's an Oregon campus specific for Hispanic or Latina engineers. But we provide a lot of opportunities both professionally and academically. So with that, we have a lot of opportunities for students to get in touch with other companies, whether that be like Boeing, SpaceX, Medtronic's on that list, and then a bunch of other big tech and mechanical engineering companies. I think we have 17 plus sponsors. And so there's a lot of orgs on campus similar to us, like we are Hispanic engineers, NESB, the Society of Black Engineers, and then just Viterbi as a whole has a lot of career options for everyone to get in touch with other companies. And so I've helped a lot of students get in touch with companies and then settle down and get an internship for the following summer. It's really accessible and pretty easy to do so if you have a lot of connections and good networking opportunities that Viterbi offers.
Perfect. We're going to move on from this question a little bit and talk more about like student life at USC and the kind of things that you guys do. So first off, what does a day-to-day look like for each of you? And do you have time to balance everything with studying and being just at USC and taking care of yourself? And how do you do it?
It's a big question.
It is. It's a hard one.
Yeah, I think it ebbs and flows how busy different semesters are. So for instance, I'm only taking 14 units this semester, but I am working more. So I'm probably working about 20 hours a week at various jobs on campus. But in kind of the trade-off is I have a lighter course load and I'm already done with my physics and my calculus classes, and those tend to be a little bit more intensive with work. So I think just being really intentional with structuring your time. That's been really helpful for me. So carving out time to hang out with my friends, like strictly planning those things in advance. And I'm also taking a ballroom dancing class. So like I like to create systems where I know that I will take that time to do other fun things. Because I mean, let's face it, we could study forever. Like it's just the thing. Like you could really do that in any major, but having that specific time to do things that you love outside of engineering, like for me, strictly enforcing those, that's been really helpful for balancing. So there really is time to do a bunch of other stuff, explore new things. We were talking before, I just started to learn tennis this last week.
Yeah,
I really think it's what you make of it. Kind of going off of that, like I know that there have been days where I'll start at like 8 a.m. and then end at like 9 p.m. Whereas other days, some semesters I'll even have like a 3-day weekend if I'm lucky. But it also just depends on how much time you're willing to put into the things you need to do. Like I know a lot of people don't take advantage of their discussions of office hours. And so a lot of times things will pile on the weekends and then you'll really feel the pain of it. But, if you stay on top of things and you make sure to find time for things to blow off steam, not get too burnt out, then it isn't too demanding for the most part.
Yeah, I would say this semester I've really been way better at like managing my time. And I guess that's just a skill you learn as you go. Like, as a freshman, I was all over the place. But yeah, this semester I now go to the gym in the mornings, which has been great for my energy as well. I'm not like falling asleep at like 1 p.m. anymore. I really do recommend working out. But I'm taking this semester, I'm taking 18 credits because I wanted to take an elective as well, which was a 2-unit elective, applied Python. It's been pretty fun so far. I like coding, but yeah, I also have time for, student orgs after my classes. And yeah, as Tim said, it's really what you make of it. Having time for not only attending stuff like discussions, office hours, like things that may seem like optional. In reality, if you want a good grade, they're not really optional. Like it's things you really do have to make time for. And I also work a job on campus. Last semester I was working 2 jobs. This semester I'm only working 1 job at the moment. And it's great. My hours are very flexible. I'm able to tell my boss, hey, I can't come to work today because I really need to focus on my homework. And because it's a work study job, they're super understanding as well. Because, at the end of the day, we're students first. So yeah, it's very much what you make of it. But I do have a good time, even as an engineering major, even though people think engineering majors don't have a good time. We do have a good time.
I feel like I agree with everything you guys have all said. I think this is like the biggest question. And honestly, I feel like I was so much worse at managing my time freshman year. I think like I've gotten better at it, but I still wouldn't call myself good, even as a senior. It's hard to try and plan out an entire semester beforehand when you're structuring your classes and your commitments and stuff. But I will say, just to add on to everything, I feel like a big aspect of it is knowing yourself too, because I think that like it's really easy for me to like cram a lot of things into a certain period of time and expect that if I have a 2-hour break, I'll use it for homework. But I think like realizing who I am, like I will not be doing that. I will probably be talking to one of my friends and use those 2 hours up. So I think it's also being like understanding of yourself and making sure that you balance things that are important, like sleeping and eating and taking care of yourself and spending time with friends, because it does get harder as your schedules get busier. So just making sure that you also think about those things. And also I think it's underrated how much time homework takes up. So when I plan out my schedule, I sometimes do it without thinking about homework. And then I'm like, oh, I have so little time to actually do my homework. So I think it's just like you learn as you go, but it's very much like kind of coming into tune with yourself and how you operate and just structuring your schedule accordingly. So you still like are doing everything that you want to be doing.
Yeah, I'll definitely say that Google Calendars is your best friend with everything.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh,
no matter where you go, Google Calendar is your best friend.
Mhm.
For sure.
Yeah, so like my day-to-day, it changes, just like a little Google Calendar snapshot behind. I think the best thing is just like being able to balance stuff. Usually my day-to-day is like 2 or 3 classes. And I have most space in my day to like grab food, hang out with friends, which is always nice. I think like what's really great is that like Viterbi classes really structure themselves, or like all USC classes really structure themselves so that you're able to take advantage of other opportunities on campus. Whereas like I'll end my classes at a certain time, and then after that, most student orgs start after the general class schedule. So you're able to take a part of like both things and have a lot of opportunities outside of just classes. My favorite class this semester is a streaming class about live streaming and the media arts.
Nice.
It's super fun. And so you have time in your schedule to branch outside of just Viterbi and experience some other fun stuff.
Absolutely. I know a lot of people that have like every semester a little class here and there. That's just like a fun 1 or 2 unit class. I'm in acro yoga right now. So it's super fun learning more about acrobatics, which is always a really good time. And it's a great break from the stress of my other classes. and it forces me to work out.
Big one.
I'm adding that to my list, Shannon.
Yes, well, it's super fun. Total side note, but I actually met the acro yoga professor at like a separate gym when I was doing acro yoga. And she was like, "Oh, you go to USC?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do. I'm a student." She goes, "I'm a professor there." And I asked her what she taught. And she was like, "Acro yoga. I teach this." So she convinced me to take her class.
That's so
That's
cool.
crazy.
Yes, yeah. The professors here are so cool.
I will say workout classes are a big thing because like for so many years I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to the gym, but like it's hard to hold yourself accountable. But if you're like taking a class, like you're definitely going to. Like I'm taking swimming and weight training this semester, and it's like I'm finally getting exercise.
Yeah. Nick, have you taken the surfing class?
I have not taken the surfing class. It is on my bucket list for senior year.
Senior year, Nick. We got it.
I'm locked in. I'm ready. I'm so ready in web reg to get that.
I think there's also like a sailing class or something. There's like so many cool classes that I just want to take. Like I remember last year, my freshman year, we had one of the people on our floor, they took I think it was a surfing class, and they would always be bragging about all the good times they were having in their class. And yeah, it's really great the things you can add to your schedule. Like my general education class this semester is like diversity in Broadway, and it's a really interesting class. And I've always liked like musical theater, but I haven't really been able to watch like any shows because shows are pretty expensive. So just like being able to learn about all that stuff through a professor who's actually she's like very famous in Broadway, which was really cool to learn. Like I didn't know that. And so like somebody told me, and I Googled her and I was like, wait, this is crazy. So yeah, it's really cool. Both like the classes that are offered here and the professors who are teaching it are just always like really cool people.
Absolutely. And kind of, I guess, branching off from this, seeing as there are all these cool opportunities and so much stuff to do. One, as a freshman, how do you kind of manage that and figure out what you want to do when, if you can fit it in your schedule? And then two, this seems like it's been a little bit of a tough thing for all of us to figure out as we go along. But what was probably your biggest challenge that you faced as an incoming freshman and your biggest piece of advice?
Oh, I can definitely go first. My freshman year was definitely, I would say, tough because I'm a first generation college student, and I'm also a low income college student. So my college experience was very much trial and error a lot. I didn't really have my parents to tell me, well, this was my experience, this is what your experience is going to be like. But fortunately, there are a lot of resources at USC. We have the First Gen Center, the Questbridge support network as well. And there's a lot of like other like first gen students on campus. So we were able to relate in our experiences. But I remember distinctly something that stands out to me was there is, I'm going to try to find the name of it, but there is a center on campus that is dedicated specifically for like helping students like time manage and be able to really like also take care of themselves. It's like located near TCC for you guys on campus. Maybe you guys have been at it, but I'll try to find the name and drop it in the chat. But I went there, and the lady who was there gave me all these like different pamphlets, and she like helped me specifically with like being able to like structure my assignments. So she was like, okay, like we're gonna work one-on-one, like let's start doing this assignment. Like we're gonna do Pomodoro timer. If this doesn't work out, we can try another exercise. And really like worked with me on like stuff on like strategies to really be able to manage my time better. And just that USC had that like resource was absolutely amazing, because I've just always been really bad at time management, and just knowing that there was like a whole center like dedicated to like really helping students like improve themselves in that way, and also like giving students the power to also be able to take care of themselves well, because if you don't have good time management skills, chances are you're not going to also make time for yourself, which is such an important thing, especially as engineering students, is making time for yourself. So it was definitely time management and really going through what college was for the first time was very tough, but I'm really thankful for all the resources that USC has to offer because it made the process way easier. And as a sophomore, I really feel like super prepared for like what the year is going to bring me.
Leslie, was that the Korshik Center?
Yes, that's the name, the Korchak Center.
I can stick a link for it in the chat for those of you who
Awesome.
are interested in looking at it.
Mhm. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah. Leslie, I loved everything that you said. I'll give a little bit of background is that I started college during COVID. So I think my challenges look pretty different than like what people's challenges might look like in the future. But I think one challenge I face that is probably applicable would be getting like over involved. Like there are so many cool things that at least for me, I wanted to join literally every club that I saw. I actually won't even let myself go to the involvement fair anymore because I am already over involved. I have no time left, but I will join new things if I see it. I think that's pretty common freshman year is to be maybe a little bit over involved. Like you join so many things, and in your later years, you start to realize what you like, what you really enjoy, and what you want to be more involved in, maybe involved in leadership. So like you'll let go of other clubs. But for me, yeah, definitely being over involved freshman year, so many things that I wanted to be involved in, so many things I wanted to do. That was hard to manage.
Yeah, off of I had like a similar problem. I think the best way to go about it, or the way that like really helped me, is just to cast a wide net of like different involvements, which some think are cool, some are like, oh, this would be like really responsible of me to join. I should do this. And then be ready to like adapt on the fly your first freshman year. A lot of organizations understand that like you have a lot of work to do, classes are difficult, you have other obligations. So I think go everything. You might feel a little stressed at the start, but then slowly reel it back in and find like what is the best fit for you in all those opportunities.
I would agree with that. I think also like being open to like trying new things. Like when I came to USC, I was like, there were so many things that I'd never heard of. Like, I don't know, we have like whether it's like sports, like I didn't even know what spike ball was, which
Oh
is
my God, yes.
before coming to
Like, what is
USC.
that?
They like have like a spike ball club, and that's where like I learned about it. And I think there are a lot of really cool programs that I became involved in and really enjoyed that shaped my experience here. But I didn't know about them prior to coming here. It was just like seeing them at the involvement fair. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. But definitely what Maya said was true for me too, which was I was very over involved as a freshman because I felt like I wanted to do everything. And it's also realizing that you also have 4 years to do all of those things that you want to do. And I think another thing, like in terms of the challenge for me, I came from like a high school and just like a background that wasn't very STEM focused. So I never really had any exposure to engineering and I didn't really know what it was. And I think it's realizing that when you're coming to any school, like a lot of people come from different levels of experience. But I think that one thing that was difficult for me was coming to terms with, like, I guess, confidence in your abilities despite not having the same experience as other people might have, because at the end of the day, you're all learning the same things. So I think that that was another thing that just like freshman year, I feel like imposter syndrome is also another big thing, depending on where you come from. But it's just knowing that you're equally capable, which is why you're there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great advice, everyone. Thank you for that. Now, this next question is going to be for me and Maya specifically, because I'm seeing it a lot in the chat. And I really do want to get it answered for those of you who are wondering about double majoring or minoring in Viterbi. First off, double majoring is difficult, but it is possible. They're never going to tell you no, that you can't do it. But it might take extra time. I myself am considering staying around for an extra semester to finish my undergrad, just because it's a very large course load, doing 2 whole majors. You cannot double major within the engineering school. I do want to point that out. So you can't have 2 Viterbi majors. You can have 1 in Viterbi and 1 in one of the other schools at USC. And so the other note that I want to add there is that double majoring is something that is always allowed. They're not going to tell you no. So if it is something that you're interested in or that you really want to do, it's definitely possible. But it is just a lot of extra work there. And then another good option is minoring. So Maya can obviously speak a little bit more on this than me, but it's something that quite a few Viterbi students do, and is fairly common within coursework. So.
Yeah, the minoring process was almost as easy as switching major process. You get like I spoke to my advisor. I was like, oh, this is a minor that I saw that I was interested in. She was like, okay, cool. Let me connect you with that minor's advisor. So there's like another advisor that you'd meet with then, and then they talk through it and they're like, okay, do you want to declare this minor? You say yes, and then it's pretty much as easy as that. Your advisor works those classes into your schedule in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, and speaking about schedules, I should note too that most Viterbi majors are built to be about 4 years. You do have some room here and there for electives and fun stuff like that, which makes it pretty easy to fit in a minor because they are less classes, but a whole other major is quite a bit more. Perfect. Now moving on to our next question. So just in curiosity, about everyone's coursework in your freshman year, did you just spend the first 2 years of your undergrad taking random like GEs and basic classes, or were you in classes that were specific to your major and your coursework? And kind of how long did it take you to get into those more specific classes?
Yeah. So I'm astronautical engineering. And in my first semester, you just hop right in. Among of my other classes, which I think was like RIT 340, a calculus of some sorts, a fun GSEM, which was like a general ed seminar, which all freshmen have to take, in language, law, and literature, which was super fun, but a little bit niche. But among those, I hopped right into astronautical engineering 101, as well as freshman academy. So different classes like that help in your first freshman year to really figure out what you want to do. Freshman academy is more like a breadth topic where you cover all facets of engineering and just see what you want to do. I know a lot of people that hopped into freshman academy as a mechanical engineer, saw that biomedical was much cooler, and so they hopped over and went into that. I headed into Astro, stuck with Astro, took Astro 101, was like, wow, this is even more cool than I thought. And so I stuck with it, and it was super fun.
Yeah, I guess just to give like another perspective, I actually started here at a spring admit. So coming into USC, I went to community college during the fall and got a lot of my GE credits done. And along with that, I also did AP classes in high school. So I actually didn't have a lot of general things left. And so my path kind of started for EE focused very early. And what I just recommend for people who are starting in the fall and have an opportunity to structure their schedule is that definitely don't try and load it one way very heavy, because then you feel like the downside of taking a bunch of, engineering classes at the very end. Not that it's, impossible, but I certainly do wish I had those kind of extra classes to keep my mind active in other ways. But
yeah. And for those of you listening in, just really quick, that aren't familiar with it, GEs is our general education requirements. So there are a bunch of like humanities and science classes that everyone just has to take over the course of their 4 years. Go ahead, Maya.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, Tim, that was something that I tried to be intentional about my freshman years. I was like, okay, like I want at least one general or one non-STEM class every semester. So that's how I've structured my college. And I think how that worked, so I never took any summer classes. So I did my Calc 3, my physics, my chemistry, my biology. I took all of that at USC. So I think, so I started taking some industrial engineering classes, at least one a semester, but I haven't really started to get into the bulk of those technical, major specific, higher level classes until this year. But that was just the way I wanted to do it. Wanted to be able to have my summers free for internships and research.
Love it, love it. And we are starting to run out of time here, so I did want to ask the question that everyone kind of wants to know and why they're really here is, why did everyone choose to come to USC? What about it brought you here? And just maybe a sentence or two to tell everybody.
I guess I can start. For me, it was, I think USC and Viterbi specifically had such an emphasis on like using engineering to help solve real world issues. And I feel like that really resonated with me because I wanted to get the skills that would allow me to do that. And also engineering plus, like that mentality that encourages engineers to do things outside of engineering was a huge thing for me, because I didn't really think of myself as like just an engineer, which I don't think anyone does, but I really appreciated that it was so encouraged and like built into the curriculum.
Yeah, to add on to what you just said, how not everyone, like, people aren't just engineers, and that was a huge reason why, like, USC has such a diverse community of students, and you're not going to find like one-dimensional people. Like, I've met people who are double majoring in theater and astronautical engineering. I've met people who are like in majoring in math and economics, and they're also big in their frat and everything. There's like a lot of personalities. You're not just going to find your one type of engineer and that's it. It's so much more to it, and USC does a great job at bringing such a diverse community of not only engineers but students in general. And another thing to add to that is also USC has a great emphasis on like mental health and being able to better yourself. We have so many resources that a lot of leading universities don't, which was also a big reason for why USC was like my dream school, because they really do care about their students, and we have a lot of resources that I'm super appreciative of. So yeah.
Yeah, big reason why I chose USC was the engineering school. I love the smaller class sizes. I love the engineering plus, like Neha said. And like Leslie was saying, I love the people, how they're three-dimensional, super cool. Everybody's interesting. They have something they're curious about. So that was my why USC.
Yeah, I guess to go off that, the reason I picked USC was something you hear about a lot, the Trojan family. I think you just feel it whenever you're on campus. Everyone's so friendly and welcoming, and even just despite like other than networking, just like overall sense of community. And then also, I think LA is just a really unique city to go to college. It's not like a typical college town. It really has an identity of its own.
Lovely, lovely. And then I'll just speak really quick on my experience too. I really liked USC's emphasis on interdisciplinary studies in the Viterbi school. So you can, again, I studied computer science, but I've done different types of research in linguistics and in biology and that kind of stuff. So I really like that they put that emphasis on that. And kind of what Neha said with that, like, wish to make an impact on the real world problems also spoke to me quite a bit. And then last but not least, I really liked the option to switch majors and how easy it was within USC and the Viterbi school, especially just because I'm a very indecisive person and I thought I wanted to go into biomedical engineering, but I wasn't 100% sure. So that was kind of a relief for me, knowing that it was a pretty easy switch. And that was our last question for this live chat. I apologize to anyone whose questions did not get to be answered live, but we're always here to answer questions at a future date. We really do hope you enjoyed the live chat tonight, and we hope that you gained some insight on what it's like to be an engineering student here at USC. If you missed any of the chat, you can always rewatch the whole thing on our channel later. Alrighty. And next up, just some information up here about our admissions office. We would love for you to stay connected. And a way for you to connect with the Viterbi admission office is through an information session. So those are a great opportunity to learn more about the application process, and there are usually students there to answer some of your questions more about classes and student life. So if you're interested, you can register at viterbiadmission.usc.edu/visit. It's a great time to take a picture of the screen so you can save all of this information for later. So I'll leave that up for just a second. Great. And so we really do hope you enjoyed this live chat, and we would love to see you at more of our live chats. So changing the slide on the screen here in just a second. We would love to see you at some of our future ones. So coming up in this series, you can see our calendar. We have on September 11th, the Women in Engineering live chat. On September 15th, the Black Students in Engineering live chat. On October 9th, Latinx Students in Engineering. And October 30th, the Viterbi Voices live chat with just a general student body. So you can register at that link. Feel free to take a picture of it as well. We also want to take a moment to shout out some of the amazing resources we have here for students. So we've got our Viterbi student website where you can hear about some of us and our experiences. We do have our blogs up there that talk about our lives as engineering students. We also have videos, social media, and all kinds of things like that. So you can check that out. We also have at our viterbiundergrad.usc.edu website, you can learn more about Viterbi as a whole and the different kinds of research that goes on here, the different types of programs we offer, and some of the professors and their research. So you can check all that out there. And then you can also explore our campus if you haven't been able to visit and might not be able to soon before applications. So you can feel free to take a virtual tour at that link up there. I'm not going to spell it all out just because it's a mouthful. But we've got that there. And then just a reminder, our early action deadline this year is November 1st. So if you are super interested in attending USC, please consider applying for early action. You're going to be considered for merit scholarships and you'll be notified of your acceptance status sooner. And since it's early action, it is non-binding. So you basically are just finding out about your admission a little bit earlier. And then lastly, please stay connected with us. We would love for you to follow us on our social media accounts and stay in touch. We have an Instagram, a Twitter, a TikTok account. We also have podcasts on SoundCloud and videos on YouTube. And all of these are made by students and they're all written out for students too. So if you want to learn more about what life is like as an engineering student at USC, or if you just have more questions for us, please feel free to email vstudent@usc.edu. That should be in chat somewhere. And thank you all again for tuning in tonight. I wish you the best of luck on your college applications. Please stay safe. And as always, fight on.
Fight on.
Right on.
Right on.